U.S. government, I can't say who or where they work, saw this and had the authority to have someone go into the system and find out how many people named Wadat, because we didn't identify him, we didn't use his last name, but just see are there Wadats that have applied for S visas in Afghanistan. Wadat's not a common Afghan name. Turns out there were two, and both of them were granted their visas. He landed at Dulles Airport in July. I was there to greet him and film his first few days in the States, which were not easy on him. But we got him down through a series of friends to Dallas, where he's working as a security guard now and starting his American dream. He's living with a family of a photographer who's a war photographer that did a still series of photos for Smithsonian about him after she saw this piece. Abdullah, Saki Dodd's friend who spoke English and interpreted for me, is kind of skinny guy. He couldn't wait any longer, so he paid smugglers to get him out of the country. They took him, unfortunately, through Iran, where he was kidnapped and held in a cage for a while until he escaped. And he made it to Istanbul, and now he is living there, reapplying from there, which is an even more complicated process because he left the country. It adds layers of bureaucracy. But he's still alive, and he's in Istanbul. The tragic news is that the funding for this S-Visa program that the U.S. set up and promised these guys was cut this summer by Congress because it got wrapped up in the debate about Syrian refugees and having refugees come to the U.S. So for now, in the foreseeable future, unfortunately, anyone waiting for an SIV visa out of Afghanistan will have to continue to wait. They won't get it for the U.S. government. Matt Zeller, the guy in the middle that you saw, he runs a program called No One Left Behind because he was an Army intel officer in Afghanistan and an interpreter saved his life. And he told the interpreter, I'll do anything for you, I owe you my life. And he literally saved his life in a shootout where a couple Taliban guys had to jump on Matt, and his interpreter came in and killed those guys before they could fire. So Matt ended up getting his interpreter to the U.S. eventually, and CBS News in D.C. did a story about it, and a bunch of people donated money. And Matt gave the money to the interpreter to start his new life, and the interpreter said, I can't take this money, there are so many other people who need it. So they took the money and started No One Left Behind. So rather than our U.S. government greeting these guys when they come here at the airport and taking them to a home and getting started, it's volunteers that work for Matt and donate money in Matt's program that get them started and on their feet. Matt has been fighting in Congress to try to save the SIV program. One of his biggest allies is John McCain, who was a major supporter of it. But it lost, and McCain lost, and we're in a pretty shameful state, honestly, with it right now. So we're filming with that. We filmed him landing at the U.S., his trip to Texas, and we're going down next month to film a little bit more with him, to do a follow-up on this, and then to talk about what I just told you about how essentially their program's been killed because of the saddest form of politics. I mean, these guys have nothing in common with Syrian refugees. These are guys who served for years with U.S. forces, wearing U.S. military uniforms with weapons next to U.S. troops. Plenty of time to do a background check when they're doing that. I mean, we can have the Syrian refugee conversation. I'd love to have that. But it's just a very different conversation than when we're talking about these guys. But yet, the politics in Washington don't always work out that way. I tell you what, does anyone have any questions?